So I was sitting around thinking to myself, hey Joe, why don't you review a pistol? And then I was thinking, hey Joe, you're kind of a 1911 guy. And then the internet responded with the SDS Worldwide Imports 1911. Let's check it out. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new to the channel and you like firearm reviews, keep an eye out. I will be doing more again as time moves on. Also, I'm going to a 5-day-a-week shooting schedule, so there will be all kinds of different stuff appearing on the channel. Tech, firearms, cars, trucks, little reviews of technical items, all that good stuff. And in order to make sure you get all of those videos served to you, go ahead and subscribe down below and click the bell icon if you'd be so kind, and that would be awesome, and then I will stop harping on you. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of what we're looking at today. And what we're looking at today is kind of looks like an airsoft gun, doesn't it, guys? The way it's packaged. This is SDS Worldwide Imports, or Imports Worldwide. I'm not 100% sure which way they intended that to be on there. But as you can see from the picture, this is a stainless steel 1911. Hammer forged stainless steel barrel, stainless steel frame and slide, Novak style, yep. Flared ejection port, yep. Extended beaver tail, yep. Enhanced hammer and trigger, yep. Extended and ambidextrous thumb safety, yep. Beveled magazine well, sure. Flat mainspring housing, okay. Series 70 internals, bueno. And includes one 8-round magazine. For those of you that are not familiar with SDS, don't worry about it. It's actually been in this country for a while under the name Tisas. Tisas is the parent company, and they manufactured the SDS. It's been sold under different names, including just Zig 1911. In fact, when you open the box, you'll see why. But Tisas is a Turkish company. They manufacture a lot of pistols, a lot of firearms. They've been doing it for a long time, and they seem to be like the Turkish version of the Philippines, Rock Island, and Arms Corps, and all the companies that are out there. I saw this. It's a super reasonable price pistol, especially for a stainless steel with some toys on it, and I wanted to take a look at it. So I called up my buddy at his store, and I said, hey man, can you order me one of these? And he's like, sure. And then he brought it to me, and now I'm doing a review. Really complicated story. Sorry guys. Anyways, let's take a look at the package. Now in the past, these used to come in a really nice locking hard case with extra mags and all that good stuff, but they were also a little bit more expensive. For the sake of argument, I'm going to say right now that this pistol, at the time of my review, retail is $469 or $479, something like that. You can usually get them a little bit cheaper. I know my buddy can get the black ones for like $4.50, which is an incredible deal for a 1911. But the stainless ones always carry a premium, because when you have a stainless one, you can't hide the machining marks as well like you can with parkerization, Cerakoting, or Duracoating. But in the box you have just, you know, simple foam, which is kind of cool because I have a case that I plan on putting this thing in, and it will actually cushion it well. You obviously have the firearm. We're going to set that down and come back to that. Inside you have your obligatory ATF youth handgun safety pamphlet, which is required under law. You also get a rod and a brush for cleaning it, and your owner's manual. And it seems to have poked through the bag, but no big deal. Underneath, just another piece of foam. Nothing much to write home about. That's okay. As I've said in previous videos, I would rather have this be where they spend the money instead of this, because most gun owners will take it out of here, put it in a safe, or put it in a different box, or put it in some kind of storage area, and then never take it back out. So yeah, pretty cool. They're imported in Knoxville, Tennessee. Warning, this product can expose you to chemicals including lead bullets, which are known to the state of California to cause cancer, but only to California because they're vegans. Just kidding, don't quote me on that. Before we dive into it, I'm going to go ahead and safety check the firearm. First thing we do is drop the magazine. That's obviously clear. Next thing we're going to do is lock the slide back, and you can see nothing in the chamber, nothing in the mag well, not a darn thing. So we can go ahead and drop the slide. It is now officially safe. And first thing you'll notice is this is the 5-inch model, which I really like. And you'll also notice it's the black and stainless, which I really like. It's not as shiny as some stainless guns are. It's more of a matte polish. and I think it looks really nice. One thing I'm very happy about is they don't have a giant billboard. A lot of companies, especially in the early 2000s, were putting like giant billboards. Rock Island had a huge one on the side of their gun, made it look even more toy-like. This one has a very subtle Zig M1911 Tisas turkey, so it tells you everything you need to know. Of course, it also doesn't say that this is an A1 pattern gun, but whatever, moving on. On this side you have the SDS Knoxville, Tennessee, which is the importer and location, as well as a serial number for this firearm. It's a very nice actual etching. You know, sometimes you see some of these firearms and they have like really bad serial numbers on them. This is done really well. I like it. You will also notice that it has rear and front slide serrations, so you can obviously manipulate it there, you manipulate it there, manipulate it there. I shoot ambidextrous, so it's nice to have options. Speaking of ambidextrous, it does have an ambidextrous safety, which in my Rock Island first 100 review, which you can see up there, I complained a little bit because of how long the actual safety was, but on this firearm you'll see that it's actually very short. It's wide, but it doesn't flare all the way back here like the Rock Islands did. It actually is pretty truncated, so when I'm in my firing position, it will be out of the way. It does have the extended beaver tail, as most 1911s now have. Put the hammer down real quick. It does have a commander style hammer, and it does have a commander or skeletonized trigger. However, this one, in a cost saving measure, is not adjustable, which is not a big deal because it's a 1911. You can change out a trigger in like 15 minutes. It does have a Novak style 3-dot sight arrangement, which is pretty visible. It's not true Novak, but it's, I mean, it looks just like a Novak. It's adjustable for windage, but not elevation, which is typical. However, because of the cut though, you could put a different rear sight on it, and the front sight is dovetailed in. You'd have to double check and see what front sights interchange, but that's a very nice dot. It's actually a little bit recessed. It's not flush, so it should actually show up pretty well. Just looking at it kind of off the angle of the camera here, the picture is really easy to pick up. On this side you do have a flared ejection port. This is actually kind of important for some 1911s because some 1911s like to catch right there with the shell as it's ejecting the casing, excuse me, not the shell, but the casing can catch there and jam up. So this is usually done to help aid ejection. The grips are cheap plastic. No front checkering on this one, although it does have an undercut for the trigger guard, so your fingers get up a little bit higher under there, so that's nice. A little bit of skate tape will fix that issue. The rear mainspring housing is flat, but it's just lined. It's not checkered. Not a huge deal. Again, easily interchangeable. And in fact, got a Wilson Combat one here that's fully checkered. Also have my Wilson Combat magwell from my Para-Ordnance. Another extended beaver tail that's actually a Wilson Combat, which if I don't like how this one performs, I can always change it up. And some other stuff we'll be talking about in a couple of minutes. But let's go ahead and talk about a couple of the other features that were listed on the box. It said it has a beveled magwell, and it actually does. You can see there it has a little bit of an angle. What that does is allow you to slightly easier get your magazine in there. This is a Springfield magazine, no, Smith & Wesson magazine that I was using with my magwell at the time. No flares on the side. But yeah, supposedly it helps you find the magwell a little bit easier. The front of the firearm has a polished stainless barrel, black bushing, and black plunger. Because it has an enclosed plunger in the front, it means this one has the short guide rod, which I actually prefer myself. A lot of other shooters of 1911s prefer them. Something weird about a full-length guide rod can make the spring bind up inside of there. I think it's because of the way the guide rod goes through the plug. It can cause the spring to compress in a weird way, or it doesn't have any room to compress the right way, and it can cause some issues. Overall fit and finish of the gun, so far anyways, pretty tight. There is some, obviously some wiggle room in there. It's not like hand fitted or anything. Come on, focus. But it seems to be pretty tight, at least as tight as most of the other lesser expensive ones I've monkeyed with in the past. What do you say we go ahead and disassemble this thing? 1911 disassembly, super easy. I'll do it real quick. You always got to make sure to be careful though, because these little buggers like to go flying. Take the spring out. You always want to be conscious of which end is open and which end is closed. As you can see, one end is open, one end is closed. The closed end goes in towards the link. Keep that in mind. But once you do that, you can spin your bushing the other way and wiggle it out. Pretty easy fit there. And then you just come on. Sorry. Took me a second there. I had to wiggle things around to get it to line up correctly. But the all metal, that's good. I've seen some of these where they were aluminum. This one feels like it's steel. And then you just take the gun apart. Standard half-length guide rod. And standard 1911 drop link barrel. Much like the para ordnance I had, it's flared down here on the bottom. I've heard that that can actually aid with some of the accuracy as the slide is moving. It gives it a little bit less room to maneuver. It has a pretty aggressive swirl in there. Don't know if I can get that on camera. Yeah, the twist looks like it's a little bit more extreme. Let's take a look at the lower real quick. Again, being stainless steel, finished in stainless steel, it is harder to hide imperfections, but looking inside of it, it looks super clean in there. No real machine marks that I can say. I will say that these rails, the surfaces, could use a polishing. Since there's no parkerization, it doesn't need anything extreme like a file like I've used in the past. It probably just needs something like some 800 and then 1000 and then probably some 1200 grit sandpaper. Looking inside the slide itself, again, looks really clean and the machine marks are minimal. Yeah, looks like it's pretty well put together. Yeah, that could be actually a pretty nice unit right here. For those of you that have never taken one apart, Field Strip 1911. For those of you that have taken one apart, Field Strip 1911. Let's go ahead and put it back together. So you just take your barrel, make sure that your drop link is down like this. Slide it back in the front of the slide. Definitely need some polishing, guys. It's a little bit rough. Not any lube in here really, so that could be part of it as well. But put your Hujima what's it there. I'm going to go ahead and put the barrel bushing in. Slide that over. And again, open end towards the front of the firearm. Oh, so dry. I do not like them when they're this dry. I do not like them in a bar. I do not like them in a car. I do not like them from afar. I do not like them, Mr. Jafar. Okay. There we go. Let's go ahead and bring this on back. I gotta do this off camera, guys, sorry. You do need to put your slide lock in here. It's your crossbar in here, and then you need to line up this piece. Now this is very easy to scratch and put an idiot mark on your slide or your frame, so you have to be very careful. Wiggle it in slowly. Once you do that, then you're pretty good to go. I've had several 1911s, especially stainless steels, that have that nice giant idiot mark on them from somebody just dragging the slide release across here or pushing it up too hard and zip, spinning it across the side of the frame. Anyways, reassemble, drop to safety, rack it, pull the trigger a couple times. Wow. I will say this thing is super tight right now. It's definitely gonna need a break-in. But you can also, if I'm quiet, you can hear it. Definitely needs to be polished on the rails. Probably the feed ramp too. It's one thing I forgot to talk about. Oh, damn. Is it does have a ramped barrel, which is kind of important, especially when you're trying to feed hollow point bullets. Trigger is very heavy on this thing. It's probably in the 7-pound range, which is obscene for a 1911. I mean, yeah, it comes back to a break no problem, but then it actually takes some effort to get it to drop. Reset is nice and fast though, right there. Yeah, it actually takes effort to pull the trigger on this thing. So the magazine is made by Mekgar. It's pretty good quality. They make pretty good magazines. Unless you're asking for some weird configuration they don't make a lot of, but for a 1911, they're pretty good at it. They do drop free. They actually eject out of the firearm, which is what you want. The magazine release is very stiff. Again, I don't know if it'll free up or if there's something binding up inside, but yeah, it actually takes some force to drop the mag, which could be a good thing. I mean, not that a lot of us hold the 1911 like this, so it'd be very difficult to accidentally hit it, but even with a polished mag, it still takes quite a bit to drop it. So that's my quick first impression of the firearm. I think it actually has pretty good potential. It could be right up there with Rock Island in terms of budget 1911s. I've seen Tisas in a couple of my buddies' shops over the last few years, and I didn't pick them up because, quite frankly, they were just GI models. They were basic, super plain models, and they were still, you know, $4, $4.25, and I didn't want to take the risk on them. But one of these might actually be something that's worth investing in. Again, I wish it had some front strap checkering, and I wish the rear mainspring housing was a little bit nicer. This one is plastic, which is fine. That's why we have really nice full-size metal stainless steel Wilson Combat stuff. Will it need some extra tuning besides a polishing? Who knows? Won't know until it gets shot the first time. It will be getting an abundance of lube as well as a light polishing before one goes to the range. It's winter here, which means it's cold as balls, and that means it will be a while before I take anything out to the range. However, I'll be able to do a bunch of different reviews in the meantime. I do want to grab a Taurus G3 to see what it's like in comparison to the G2Cs, as well as maybe check out the TX22, which is still a very popular firearm. Let me know down in the comments which you would like to see next, either the TX22 or the G3, and I'll try to work one of those in. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to use my Amazon affiliate links down below. I list things like the camera, the lenses, the lights, all that good stuff, and you can help the channel grow that way without having to just throw me some cash. Unless you want to throw me some cash, drive by my house, throw a bag of money out. That'd be cool. Otherwise, do that, give me a thumbs up, and as always, I'll talk to you later.